What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Monday, June 10th, 2024, and we are here with I can't say midday stream. Well, the reason why I didn't do a midday stream today is because I had a call around that time today, and I could not ignore that particular call. So that's why we are having the stream right now at the time we are. But I think I'm going to start mixing it up when it comes to the timing of the streams and when I do them. Like, there'll be some midday and some evening depending on the day, and also too because on Monday through Wednesday that's typically my training day where I have to get up early and train for about an hour, and that can be exhausting and I'd be tired. At least when I'm done with that, I can rest and then don't feel like I'm interrupting my rest to do a midday stream. So I might do the midday streams on days when I don't have to get up early to train, which is typically on Thursday, Friday. Well, Friday's usually evening stream anyway. Saturday, with the exception of this Saturday, of course, because of the rally, and Sundays, with the exception of this Sunday, because it's Father's Day. But y'all pretty much get the picture. But shout out to everybody that is in here so far. We have 40 people that's in here. If you can go ahead and hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Shout out to everybody in the chat, all the members, all the people over on Patreon, those who follow me on Instagram, X, Discord, send me stories. I'm glad that you are all here. Before we go ahead and get into everything, let me acknowledge those who are in the chat. We have Jerome Davis, Justice G. Foster, Cynical Mandate, Dabby, RDRD, Reparations Nation, DSM Sinister, Denise Scales, DSA 1, Savion Draco 0, Grape Shot, Carla Lockhart, David Green, Melanin 100%, B First Is, Wallow J, Miss Renee, Ray Anna Spites, Wesley P, J Cage, and shout out to Miss Nisi for being a continued member of the channel for 4 months. I
really busy up here. I got money.
Shout out to you, Miss Nisi. I greatly appreciate it. Don P. Ben Yehuda and Tia to you. Shout out to everybody that is here and anyone else that'll be coming in. So before we go ahead and get into this, put a 1 in the chat if you are familiar with the subject matter in which we are going to be discussing this evening. Put a 2 in the chat if this is new to you. I know someone said in the chat earlier, they said, I thought you was talking about Daniel Penny. No, but this is a different Daniel. This happened before Daniel Penny and in another state. This happened 4 years ago. Oh, well, yeah, 4 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. Okay, we got a lot of 1s in the chat. If y'all live in Texas, y'all definitely heard about this. So you got some 1s. We got a 2 in there. We got some more 1s and some more 2s. So it's a mixture. So, okay. So to give you a gist of what's going on, you had this man named Daniel Perry who murdered this man by the name of Garrett Foster because back in 2020, in July of 2020 to be exact, there was a BLM protest going on. As you know, it was a lot of protests going on, especially after what happened with George Floyd. And this man, Daniel Perry, decided he was going to drive his vehicle through where the protesters were. Think of what happened in Charlottesville back in 2017. And it also kind of reminds you of that policy that the snowflake was trying to implement down in Florida when it comes to the protesters, especially when it comes to a particular type of protester. Garrett Foster ended up confronting the person, and Daniel Perry ended up shooting and killing him. And he tried to claim it was self-defense, but they wasn't buying it. They went to trial. Daniel Perry, fast forward, I'm gonna read through it, but I'm just give you the summary. He was sentenced to 25 years. He would have been eligible for parole after 12 and a half years. And just a couple weeks ago, Governor Wheelz, Abbott, as I like to call him, decided to pardon him after only being locked up for a couple of years. So that's just the gist of it, but I'm going to read through the whole thing so y'all can get more detail behind this. So let me go ahead and share my screen right quick. And I hate that I have to actually go to this particular website in order to read it, but the reason is because the stories dated now, considered dated. There's really not much going that you can find to really break this down. But I do have some other updated articles that I'm gonna go through and a news clip that's gonna go along with the more updated stuff. So as you can see right here, it says the murder of Garrett Foster. And it says on July 25th, 2020, Garrett Foster, a 28-year-old man, was murdered in Austin, Texas by 30-year-old Daniel Perry. Perry had driven into a crowd of protesters during a Black Lives Matter protest during the May 2020 police murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Foster had been legally open carrying an AK-47, approached Perry's vehicle, and Perry shot and killed him. Perry claimed that he had acted in self-defense, but in April 2023, a jury found him guilty of murder. He was acquitted of an aggravated assault charge, and on May 10, 2023, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison for murder. Perry had made numerous posts and direct messages on social media where he had expressed his desire to shoot protesters, which, along with contradictory statements to eyewitness accounts, brought into question his claims of self-defense. Following his murder conviction, messages Perry sent of himself identifying as a racist and of him calling Black protesters monkeys were revealed to the public. Now, what's interesting about this is this almost kind of lines up with how we see Kyle Rittenhouse. Reason being, because in case y'all are unaware about the story, Garrett Foster was a white man. This wasn't a Black man that Daniel Perry took out. Garrett Foster was a white male. On May 16th, 2024, Texas Governor Greg Abbott pardoned Perry after recommendation by the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. The governor had requested a pardon recommendation from the board, and he had ordered them to expedite the process. So he's the one. Abbott, Governor Wheelz, was the one that wrote to them to have this pardon happen, and he ordered it to happen as soon as possible. He did not want this to be dragged out. He said, have it happen as soon as possible. On July 25th, 2020, Daniel Perry, a then 30-year-old United States sergeant, had been working his Uber shift when he encountered a protest against police brutality that was blocking the road. Perry originally stopped and honked his car horn at the protesters, but later ran a red light and drove his car into the crowd. Garrett Foster, a 28-year-old white United States Air Force veteran who was legally open carrying an AK-47, walked up to Perry in an attempt to tell him to stop driving into the crowd. After he walked up to Perry's vehicle, Perry shot and killed Foster. Perry claimed self-defense and claimed that Foster had pointed his weapon at him, but eyewitnesses contradicted his account. When Perry was interviewed by police about what happened before the shooting and how Foster held his gun, Perry said, "I believe he was going to aim at me. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me, you know." Now, here's the thing. Daniel Perry drove his car into this crowd and got the nerve to try to make it seem like his life was in danger. How in the world does that even add up? You were the one that was clear and present danger using your vehicle as a weapon. Mr. Williams said, "This is Kyle Rittenhouse all over again." Yeah, it's like I said, it's a combination of Kyle Rittenhouse and that man, I forget his name, back in 2017 in Charlottesville, because he drove his car through a crowd of people down there, and he killed that white woman named Heather Heyer. So that's where that comes from, with using the car as your weapon. And the other part, of course, was shooting somebody, and that was, of course, where Kyle Rittenhouse comes in as far as the comparison. In July 2021, nearly a year after the killing, a Travis County grand jury indicted Perry on charges of murder and aggravated assault. Perry turned himself in and was shortly released from jail on a $300,000 bond. Perry's trial for the murder of Foster took place at the end of March 2023 to the beginning of April 2023, nearly 3 years after the incident. The prosecution argued that since Foster had been exercising his right to open carry, there was no justification for Perry to shoot him. The prosecution revealed that Perry had made multiple posts and direct messages on social media expressing his desire to shoot Black Lives Matter protesters. Let's be real here. He wanted to shoot Black people. Let's be honest with ourselves here. That is what he wanted to do. Going after Black people was his primary target, just like it was for Rittenhouse. But look at what happened with that. He says, I might have to kill a few people on my way to work. They are rioting outside my apartment complex, and I might go to Dallas to shoot looters. Look at that. He says, I might go to Dallas to shoot looters. Mind you, this was all the way in Austin. I believe, or another part of Texas. The fact that he said, I'm gonna travel to another city to do this. A friend of Perry's responded to him, warning him of instigating protesters, stating, we went through the same training. Shooting after creating an event where you have to shoot is not a good shoot. Perry had expressed his support for violence against protesters on at least 3 social media posts, suggesting in one post to shoot center of mass because it is a bigger target. And then another stated, send protesters to Texas. We will show them why you don't mess with Texas. Again, y'all, reading all of this is the same person that Governor Wheelz down there in Texas just gave a pardon to. So he feels that this man was not a threat whatsoever, even though his actions prove otherwise. His actions on and offline prove otherwise. Justice G. Foster says he was stationed in Fort Hood and drove to Austin to carry out that threat. See, they traveled. He traveled. He went out of his way to do this. Much like Rittenhouse. Perry had also stated that someone could shoot protesters and get away with it by claiming self-defense. Perry's defense claimed that Texas Stand Your Ground law protected him legally and that he had fear for his life after defense alleged that Foster had pointed his weapon at Perry. So he was going down there to instigate with the intention of using this, hoping to basically getting away with murder. That's really what it all boiled down to. The prosecution contended that there was no evidence that Foster had pointed his weapon, and other eyewitnesses contradicted this account by the defense. The prosecution also focused on the fact that Foster's weapon was recovered with its safety on and no cartridge in the chamber, so it would not have made sense for him to point his weapon. Jurors were shown footage of Perry's police interrogation where he said regarding Foster and how Foster held his weapon, I believe he was going to aim it at me. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me. Perry's defense stated that his autism influences get his autism. There it is, y'all. They about to implement the mental health thing. They said the autism influenced his decision to kill Foster. Really? On April 7, 2023, after a week of deliberations, the jury found Perry guilty of murder, but not guilty of aggravated assault. With friends and family of Perry breaking down in tears as the guilty verdict was read, Foster's father stated, we're happy with the verdict. We're very sorry for Perry's family as well. There's no winners in this, just glad it's over. Perry faced between 5 years to life in prison. On April 13, 2023, a state district judge unsealed court records that revealed more anti-protester social media posts, racist messages, and sexually predatory online advances made by Perry that the jury did not see or hear. Among these included Perry declaring, I am a racist, and comparing the Black Lives Matter movement to monkeys multiple times, and also as animals at the zoo. He also stated in a text, too bad we can't get paid for hunting Muslims in Europe. Soon after murdering Foster, Perry searched for degrees of murder charges. Evidence was also revealed from when Perry's phone was seized, where Perry searched on the Safari web browser, good chats to meet young girls on Kik. Oh my God. So this guy is also a perv. An app infamously known for hosting grooming and had talked sexually with a 16-year-old girl on the app. Are y'all hearing this? I didn't even know about this. I didn't know about that. And apparently the jury didn't either. On May 3rd, 2023, Perry's request for a new trial was denied. On May 10th, 2023, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He would have been eligible for parole and 12 and a half years. If he served his full sentence, he would have been released in mid 2048. So I'm going to stop reading that right there because it's going to go into what I want to show y'all visually as far as the articles go. So the first article that I'm going to show y'all is this one that was posted by the Texas Tribune on May 16th, 2024. It says Governor Greg Abbott pardons Daniel Perry, a veteran who killed a police brutality protester in 2020. Now, this is Daniel Perry right here. Now, when you look at this dude right here, this man is like a year younger than me. He does not look it, or prison just treated him badly, and I hope it did. More than a year after a Travis County jury convicted Daniel Perry of murdering a protester in Austin, Governor Greg Abbott pardoned Perry. Oh, he's 37. Okay, he's 37. I don't know why I thought he was young, why I thought he was younger than me, but either way, he doesn't look 37. On Thursday, shortly after the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles recommended a full pardon, a Texas State District Court judge sentenced Perry in May 2023 to 25 years in prison for shooting and killing U.S. Air Force veteran Garrett Foster during a 2020 demonstration protesting police brutality against, they said people of color, but let's be real here, Black people. One day after a jury convicted Perry, Abbott directed the parole board to review the former U.S. Army sergeant's case. Among the voluminous files reviewed by the board, they considered information provided by the Travis County District Attorney, the full investigative report on Daniel Perry, plus a review of all the testimony provided at trial. Abbott said in a statement announcing the proclamation that absolved Perry. Texas has one of the strongest stand your ground laws of self-defense that cannot be nullified by a jury or a progressive district attorney. Abbott approved the board's recommendation, which included restoration of Perry's firearm rights. So look at this, y'all. Not only is Daniel Perry going to be allowed to get out of prison, but they're going to give him his gun back or allow him to get guns, to get firearms. Whitney Mitchell, Foster's common law wife, said that she had expected to grow old with Foster before Perry murdered him. In a Thursday statement, she said Abbott's pardon made Texans less safe. She said Daniel Perry texted his friends about plans to murder a protester he disagreed with. After a lengthy trial with an abundance of evidence, 12 impartial Texans determined that he carried out the plan and murdered Mike Garrett. With this pardon, the governor has desecrated the life of a murdered Texan and U.S. Air Force veteran and impugned that jury's just verdict. He has declared that Texans who hold political views that are different from his and different from those in power can be killed in this state with impunity. Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza echoed Mitchell's message about the governor prioritizing some lives over others. The board and the governor have put their politics over justice and made a mockery of our legal system. They should be ashamed of themselves, Garza said in a statement. They have sent the message that the service of the Travis County community members who served on the grand jury and trial jury does not matter. Doug O'Connell, Perry's lawyer, thanked Abbott on Thursday for pardoning his client. He also thanked the board for investigating what he said was an illegal threat by Foster that led to the incident on Congress Avenue in Austin. So now they have put the victim, the deceased victim, who's no longer here he can defend himself, in the hot seat like he did something wrong. That's why I went over that with that whole rundown before I read this, because I knew with this they was going to come with some BS from Daniel Perry's team. Of course they would. Daniel Perry was in prison for 372 days and lost the military career that he loved. We intend to fight to get Daniel's military service characterization upgraded to honorable discharge. I want y'all to understand something here. This is more than just the fact that Daniel Perry murdered this man and tried to claim self-defense when there wasn't one. Let's also take into the fact of the messages he was sending, the fact that he was about to meet up with an underage girl off of that Kick app. Like, look at this man's behavior. That's what Abbott just gave a pardon to. And a lot of people didn't even know who this guy was or what he did until recently. In a Thursday statement, the parole board said it delved into the intricacies of Perry's case by reviewing documents, police report, court records, witness statements, and interviews of individuals linked to the case. The board did not elaborate on why it issued a full pardon. The members of the 7-person board are appointed by Abbott. There it is, y'all. There it is. All of them people are in Abbott's back pocket. All of them. So there it is. There's your answer. Perry was driving for Uber at the time he encountered protesters a few blocks from the Capitol in downtown Austin. He stopped his car and honked at protesters as they walked through the street. Second later, he drove his car into the crowd. Foster was openly carrying a AK-47 rifle at the time during the trial. Each side presented conflicting accounts as to whether the protester raised the gun to Perry, who was also legally armed. Perry shot Foster and then fled the area. He then called police and reported what happened, claiming he shot in self-defense after Foster aimed his weapon at him. I'm kind of skipping ahead around some of this too, because a lot of it has already been talked about in the previous post. It says the case caught the attention of influential conservative voices like former Fox News host Tucker Carlson and Texas GOP chair Matt Rinaldi, who both pressured Abbott. Okay, let me highlight that. Pressured Abbott to pardon Perry, saying he acted in self-defense in the face of dangerous protests. Remember what I told y'all about how white people, depending on how they stand, are not all as a unit as people would claim. Again, Gary Foster was a white man. Daniel Perry is a white man. Greg Abbott is a white man. Tucker Carlson is a white man. I don't know who this Matt Rinaldi is, but they came together to get this white man off for killing this white man after what he did. So when I tell y'all that they are not as a unit as one would think, except for when it comes to us, this right here proves that. Same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse, because the 2 men that he killed were white, and the one he severely injured, which caused him to lose an arm, was white as well. And look at what happened. Abbott rarely issues pardons, which the board must recommend before the governor can act. Abbott granted 3 pardons in 2023, 2 in 2022, and 8 in 2021, most for lower level offenses. Shortly after Perry's conviction, unsealed court documents revealed that he made a slew of racist threatening comments about protesters in text messages and social media posts. Days after George Floyd's murder by a Minneapolis police officer prompted nationwide protests, Perry sent a message saying, "I might go to Dallas to shoot looters." Both Perry and Foster are white. Perry, a U.S. Army sergeant, also sent racist and anti-Muslim messages before and after Floyd's death. In April 2020, he sent a meme which included a photo of a woman holding her child's head underwater in the bath with the text that said, "When your daughter's first crush is a little Negro boy." Understand who we're dealing with here? when he said he was going out there to harm protesters, Garrett Foster was not the person that he had in mind. It's just the person that just happened to be there to come and approach him at that moment. And he said, you know what? Hey, a body is a body. He really went out there to kill black people. That's what it all boils down to. So what? Are you telling me you're letting him out so he can actually go and fulfill his mission? Because he got it wrong, quote unquote, the first time? During his trial, several colleagues in the Army testified that Perry treated everyone fairly, regardless of race. Please. His lawyers called Perry's social media posts and messages as barracks humor. This is right up there with that. What is it that 45 said when he said, "Grab the women by the you know what." Locker room talk. Barracks humor. So you're telling me in the barracks that's what y'all talk about? That's what you're chopping it up to? This pardon not only undermines the justice system, but also sends a chilling message that politically motivated violence is acceptable. This decision is a slap in the face to the Foster family, the BLM movement, and to all of those who believe in justice and equality. Representative Ron Donalds of Missouri City said in a statement. Reynolds serves as the chairman of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. The court documents also revealed that Perry sent inappropriate messages to someone who claimed to be 16 years old through Kick Messenger, a communication platform that has been used to share CP. Also promise me no nudes until you're old enough to be of age, Perry wrote. The same month, he shot and killed Foster. Before signing off, Perry wrote, I'm going to bed. Come up with a reason why I should be your boyfriend before I wake up. This is what he sent it to someone he is assuming is 16. In his proclamation, Abbott took aim at Garza's handling of the case and accused the district attorney of misusing his office. He said Garza directed the lead detective investigating the case to withhold exculpatory evidence from the grand jury. Abbott said that Garza prioritized reducing access to guns that citizens may use to lawfully defend themselves, instead of protecting Perry's right to self-defense. In March, Travis County voters handed Garza an easy victory in the Democratic primary after he ran on a progressive platform to investigate more sexual assault cases, prosecute police misconduct, and attempt to divert more people from jail. He's expected to be reelected in November. Whoa, that was a lot. That was a lot, y'all. But I have one more thing I'm going to show y'all, and then I'm going to drop the link. And that's the most recent thing that has come up that was posted on June 6th on newsforsanantonio.com, where it says efforts to reverse Daniel Perry's pardon have him reconsidering motion to dismiss appeal. Let's see what they're talking about.
A new development tonight, Governor Greg Abbott's pardon of Daniel Perry. After Perry's pardon, attorneys filed a motion to dismiss the seemingly unnecessary appeal of his murder conviction. But today, they're temporarily suspending that motion. Perry's attorneys want to wait for the outcome of the Travis County District Attorney's application to reverse his pardon before dismissing his appeal. Attorney Clint Broden said, in the 1 in a zillion chance that Garza's application is successful, Mr. Perry would then desire to pursue his appeal. CBS Austin's Betty Cross joins us live at the DA's office now. And Betty, Perry is out of prison, but this potentially could put him back behind bars.
You know, I think this latest this latest legal move is kind of one of those things where it's covering all your bases, because certainly reversing a pardon is highly unlikely, but the Travis County District Attorney is counting on it being possible.
In the summer of 2020, Daniel Perry shot and killed Garrett Foster during a racial justice protest in downtown Austin. Foster was carrying an AK-47 rifle, and Perry said he fired his gun in self-defense. Prosecutors argued during the trial that Perry had sought out the confrontation. A Travis County jury convicted Perry, but last month, the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles unanimously recommended Governor Abbott pardon Perry. which he did the same day. The Travis County District Attorney's Office is now asking the state's highest criminal court to reverse that pardon.
I think it's clear that people all across the country are outraged about what has happened to Garrett, what's happened to his family, about the way that the governor has made a mockery of our legal system.
The DA's office filed the writ of mandamus asking for a reversal of Governor Abbott's pardon on the grounds it interferes with a lawful jury verdict and the appellate process.
When Governor Abbott issued the pardon, not only did he circumvent the process for pardons, he exceeded his authority and violated the separation of powers doctrine.
One of Daniel Perry's attorneys responded to the district attorney's office on social media. Doug O'Connell said, sadly, this is more political theater by Jose Garza. The pardon power of the executive branch is a well-settled constitutional authority. A second attorney for Perry describes the DA's actions as pointless.
I mean, this is a fool's errand. It is not going to happen. Jose Garza is playing to his base and he's wasting taxpayer money. Jose Garza is making a mockery of the laws of Texas and the state constitution, which give Governor Abbott this power.
Today, Chaz Moore with the Austin Justice Coalition said if politics are motivating anyone, it's Governor Abbott.
I do absolutely think that the district attorney is just trying to right this particular wrong in terms of the governor overreaching.
A reversal of a pardon is rare, but Moore thinks it's a chance worth taking.
The odds are against him for sure. Who are we if we don't choose to fight?
Now, Governor Abbott has responded on social media. He says the district attorney's efforts to reverse the pardon are, quote, not gonna happen. As for how long it will take for all of this to play out, for us to decide if Daniel Perry will need an appeal, if the pardon will get reversed, well, no one knows. The district attorney himself said there is no timeline. Reporting live at the Travis County Courthouse, Betty Cross, CBS Austin News.
All right, so y'all just heard that right there. I will have to give it to the is that the district attorney? I have to give it to him for actually trying to pursue and actually trying to get this thing to be overturned, because they know that that's not going to be easy. It is very hard from what I've heard to overturn a pardon, but I'm glad they're pursuing it for it to actually happen, because that should not have occurred. And like after reading the first, the rundown of the story itself, plus the second article that followed behind it, and like I said, look at who was pressuring him to pardon him. Tucker Carlson, no surprise there. And it's because of what they were out there protesting. See, they don't like when it's something beneficial to Black people or going on with Black people. So they see this, hey, we had to trim the fat. We had to cut one of our own, but he was a sacrificial lamb. And we're fine with that. I just want y'all to understand how cutthroat PC actually is. Because if they will do that to their own, no one else is safe. But then again, we as Black people, especially FBA, already know that. So that's pretty much the things I had to show you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link down there in the chat. If anybody would like to come up, please be sure. But there's one person in particular I definitely want to come up. Let me see, for Justice G. Foster. If you were still in the chat, I would like for you to come up, because you had said in one of my in my tab, my community tab, that you actually, that the wife of Garrett Foster is your daughter. So I definitely hopefully you're still in the chat and you can click the link and come on up if you're still here. Wallow, Jay, what's going on?
What's up, Torian? I had to reclaim my throne for a minute, but the lineage of evil is back at it again, man. It's back at it again.
When have they stopped?
I mean, and people don't talk about this too. During the civil rights era, I'll give these people credit. There were white people out there marching with Black people because of what was going on. And guess what happened? They hung their asses. And call them the N-word too. That's where the word, the N-word lover, I think probably came from during that era. So this stuff right here shouldn't surprise no black person because this is how they are. And I tell anybody, don't you see? Okay, I be like, you think them folks over there's gonna be nice to you because you're black? All right, go right on ahead. You see what they do to their own? Exactly what they're gonna do to you.
Exactly.
Even worse. But yeah, I really do hope they do reverse it. But if he don't, he may catch one outside because he might be safer inside than outside. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I know people want to come up, B1, and also when y'all come up, don't be too long. All right, I'm out.
Well, the next person I'm gonna be speaking to, we probably gonna be up here for a little bit.
Okay, well after that, then everybody else keep it brief. All right, bye.
All right, shout out to Wallow J. Okay, the next person I'm about to bring up, this is a very, I would say, important person as it pertains to this story, but I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Justice G. Foster.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, my daughter's also here as well. We wanted to come on both and speak if she's able to join as well.
Okay, but before you actually speak, can you let the audience know who you are? Because I think that's very important as it pertains to this story.
Sure. I am the mother of Whitney Mitchell, and I'm also the mother-in-law of Garrett Foster. So we've been going through this for 4 years. It'll be 4 years, July 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we're just, it's just like we can't even start living again when something else comes up with, as we refer to him, Mr. Hot Wheels.
Yeah. I know that had to be like a devastating blow to actually hear what he did, because I couldn't even imagine what y'all were going through. It's like, okay, we actually got justice in this situation, considering it could have been any way or any direction this could have went, and it shockingly went the way it was supposed to, and then only to come back and you get hit with this. All because he was pressured to do it, and he actually did it and then expedited so it could happen really fast.
Yeah, he basically told the board just to make sure that they were going to approve it, because my daughter went and spoke to the board, Garrett's sister, his mother, they all went, and they pretended like they were going to listen to all of the information and make a righteous decision. And of course they didn't. They ignored all of the evidence that showed clearly that this man was a murderer, and just went ahead and did what Abbott wanted.
Yeah. And as I was reading that information there, I didn't know it went as deep as it did. I'm thinking that it was just a thing of him driving through the crowd and then, him shooting and murdering Garrett Foster. But to find out that other stuff that was going on the back end, I was like, oh yeah, this guy, if they didn't get him for that, they should have definitely got him for all that other stuff.
Oh, there was more to that, because I was there at the trial, and they brought up his best friend in the world, and he testified that he had talked to him about what could he go shoot somebody and get off on self-defense. So he was already discussing this before he even did it, to see what he could do to get off with self-defense. He was talking, and they had that friend who I think is a teacher or professor at some college come in and testify to that.
Yes. So it definitely sounded like it was very premeditated, for sure.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, he definitely planned that out. Like, even when I was reading through, he was even looking up what degrees can I get, like if there was something I could get off on, or if it's not a bigger charge, like he was researching all of that before he did what he did. The fact that he drove there, I don't know what the distance is between where he's from to where it happened at, but the fact that he drove from one city to another just to do that, he had intent.
He did. He wasn't. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was done.
No, I was just going to say he wasn't even supposed to be off the base. I think he had gotten in trouble about something. He was not supposed to leave the base. So he left the base anyway and drove. And Austin is not down the street from Killeen. So you had to actively be driving over there. And there's video of him when he drove up and saw the crowd going across the street. And people were stopped. But he drove. You can see where he kind of sped up and drove smack into the crowd. So, and that's why the jury came to the conclusion they did, because they saw all of the evidence. And that's why I'm saying the board ignored it all.
Yeah, that's messed up. But I mean, hopefully, I know y'all are going to continue fighting in order to get that pardon overturned. I know it's going to be a battle, for that to actually happen. It's like you came so far to get the results that you wanted from this, only for it to literally get snatched and right from underneath you. Like, okay, now we got to go through this again, because going through a trial such as that, for those amount of years is very stressful. Then it's like, okay, now we can breathe a little bit knowing, what's going on, and then have to turn right back around and have to deal with this at the same time. All I can say is I don't know when Abbott's time is up, but he needs to be voted up out of there, if not for anything, definitely for this.
Well, we're hoping that's going to happen soon. And one thing that isn't publicized very much is Letitia James. And a lot of other people have joined in and wrote, I think a lot of the governors, a lot of the state officials have signed a letter to the Department of Justice to investigate this whole pardon situation, because they said civil rights were violated. So that is a good thing on our side, especially with Letitia James being at the forefront.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything, goes the way that it should. Of course, it's one of them things where you say you can't hold your breath, because we already know how this establishment is. And that's why I was comparing it to Kyle Rittenhouse, because we saw what happened with him, and he basically got off from it. And then I kept referring back to Charlottesville as well. Now, in that case, he actually got sentenced to life. They didn't do no pardon for him, as they shouldn't have, just like they shouldn't have did a pardon for Daniel Perry. Right.
It's a mess, and I actually live close to where his parents live. So I mean, it's just like every time you're out, you're wondering, am I going to see this guy? I know it's a big Dallas Fort Worth area is a big area, but you're just always wondering, are you going to see him somewhere?
Right, because he's out and about, like he's basically a free man. He's a free man. And I think what else got me was when they said that he's able to get rights back to owning a firearm,
which is crazy. And there's a lot of other things he's done that hasn't come out yet that you would not believe. You would not believe. I just found out a lot of stuff as well.
I understand that for legal reasons you can't talk about it, but like I can believe it. Like just reading the extra stuff that was there, I was not expecting to read that. Like that caught me completely off guard. I had heard about the text messages and the stuff that he said, calling people monkeys and saying what he wanted to go do. Like it's almost like he fantasized it. Like it's like he dreamed of going out there to harm people. And it makes me think of the policy that Ron DeSantis down there in Florida implemented, where he basically said what Daniel Perry did. Ron DeSantis down in Florida basically said that people have the right to do it. If you wanted to run over some protesters, you can do it. He basically, in so many words, said that you can do it. So when I heard about this, I was like, oh, they basically doing what Ron DeSantis said, even though he's all the way in another state. But Ron and Greg are like in cahoots with each other. So it's like they're intertwined.
Yes, and the crazy thing about it, Garrett was trying to protect Whitney, because I talked to Garrett that day it happened, and I literally said, please be careful with that gun. I said, because I don't want nothing to happen. He said there would be other people out there as well, and we're not going to do anything. He literally told me that day, he said, my belt is too tight, and I can't really move it a lot different way. So he was going to order a new belt. So the whole thing about him pointing, how was he going to point if it was strapped so tight to his body, he couldn't move it? And my daughter, who's in a wheelchair, was right there when he drove into the crowd, and Garrett stepped in front of her to protect her when he told him to roll down the window so he could tell him to move on and get out of the crowd. And that's when he rolled down the window and did what he did. But he was probably aiming for my daughter or anybody else in addition to Garrett. So
especially like I said, I mean, I understand, like, that's like opening an old wound, like, with this. So I completely, understand. And, when he said he was probably aiming for your daughter, he probably was, because remember what he said in the messages. He said monkeys. He wasn't talking about someone that looked like Garrett. Like, let's be real here. When they say monkeys, we know exactly what they're talking about.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I appreciate you letting me just speak because it's just been hard to kind of be silent and see people with all these different narratives that don't really know what the truth was. So
Yeah,
I
I'm glad that you
appreciate
reached. I'm glad.
you
I'm glad
allowing
that.
me
I'm
to
glad
speak
that you.
up.
I'm glad that you reached out to me. You know, you had saw my post and you had said, you know, that I could give more insight on it. And you said because I'm connected, you know, through relation. And I said, sure. Like when I do the go live today, and you can come on up and you know say your piece. And like with you being close to it, and you know, and also your daughter, condolences to both of you and everything like that. It's good to hear insight from people who are connected because there can be things that you can relate to us that's not put in the media or left out of the media, or there's pieces that it's like little fragments. So I'm glad that you actually had the strength to come up
Right.
here onto my platform
I
and
appreciate
actually
it very
speak with
much.
me about it. No problem.
Oh, Herbie, you're so welcome.
No problem. You have a good one. Shout out to Justice G. Foster and also to her daughter Whitney. Like if, in your case, y'all just came in, that was the mother-in-law to Garrett Foster, and her daughter Whitney was married to him, and she just came up and spoke about what's happening. And it's rare that I get people to come up who are connected to stories that I talk about, and I'm glad they were able to she was able to come up and say her piece about that. But next up, we got AW1. What's going on?
Hey, what up, Torian?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. Condolences to her and her daughter, man, for real. And yeah, it's just the same old. It's an old story, but the same results, you know.
Definitely.
And I applaud you for doing the work that you're doing. I mean, because it shows you that last guest. It shows you are making an impact, man.
Appreciate
out
it.
here. I appreciate you. Thank you for the work you're doing and putting yourself out there like that, you know, for our community like that and stuff. And yeah, just keep up with it. I'll let someone else come up. I just want to applaud you, man, for what you're doing. Good work.
All right, shout out to AW1 for coming up. Next up, we got KG. What's going on?
That's what I get. I don't get a laugh or nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of. I mean, this
I know.
Yeah,
I know. This is not a joking one.
Yeah.
Well, the agenda has been set. We got to let out all the white supremacist crash out babies. We got to let them outside.
Right.
We just got to make sure Daniel Penny doesn't get this treatment.
Yeah. Another Daniel to contend with.
Yeah. But I don't want to say too much, but you know, the fact that they're trying to give him back his gun rights, that's a problem. But I get it. The libertarians will get mad at me for saying that. But this is one person that you saw what he did. He's not allowed to. He shouldn't be able to have it. But I know y'all follow the law. I get it.
I mean, not only just giving him the gun back, but now with him, you know, because he was in the military, now they're trying to have it where he can be characterized with an honorable discharge, not a dishonorable. So he probably got when he got arrested and found guilty, they probably gave him the dishonorable discharge. So now they're trying to revert to say, well, we know he can't go back to the military, but so let's just take off the dishonorable and give him honorable so he can get benefits from the military. So it's like they're trying to hand this man everything on a silver platter as if he is the victim.
But then when we say we want an anti-hate bill that is stronger than the C-19 bill, they look at us crazy.
Exactly. Because like I said, Garrett Foster was he was the casualty, but he wasn't the target. He made it clear in those messages that he was sending out there, his DMs and all of that. He made it clear who he was driving out there to go harm.
Yep. Well, you know what we say, family. I'm gonna get up out of here. It's time to make love to villainy.
Exactly. Appreciate you coming up.
And yep.
All right, y'all. So KG was the last person that I was bringing up. Like I said, this is one of those more sadder ones, mainly because, I was able to, talk to the mother-in-law of this man. And it's a very one of those unfortunate situations, so it's not like we're not going to really joke around with this one. But I definitely appreciate Justice G. Foster for coming up. I'm glad she reached out to me, and I'm glad that I was able to allow her to come up and speak her piece on her behalf and on the behalf of her daughter. So definitely condolences to them for sure. And hopefully that pardon can get overturned. It's going to be a long uphill battle for sure. Hopefully not a too long of a one, but definitely be on your P's and Q's, because Greg Abbott just literally let a murderer and a perv and a racist back out onto the streets. Like as if he just committed a low-level theft. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm gonna try to see if I can stay on top of that and see what the results come of that. But like I said, I am not holding my breath. But with that being said, y'all, we about to shut the stream down. Shout out to everybody that came through. I'm glad that everyone came through on this evening stream. I believe Afro Elite has his Monday stream that he's going to be doing at 8 o'clock. So make sure y'all go ahead and head on over there. He should be getting started with a stream in about a little over an hour. I'm sure he's going to be talking about something very, very informative. So be sure to check that out. And we will be back on here tomorrow with the 11 a.m. premiere. It's going to be about, speaking of hate crimes, Maya Soho Karen Ponsetto getting them hate crime charges dropped against her. And I got a lot of choice words for Alvin Bragg, because he's a huge part as to why that happened. And I'm going to be going live again tomorrow about another situation, and it's probably going to be around this same time as well. So y'all take care of yourselves. Have a good evening. Be safe and be one.